Welcome to Paulie TV. I'm your host, Paulie Malignaggi, the one and only, the two-time world champion, the magic man. Yes, yours truly. And my co-host today, Claudia Trejos.
Yes.
Claudia Trejos. We got to get the R. We got to roll the R's.
Yes,
correctly.
you got to do it right.
Trejos.
Yes. Trejos.
Makes us official.
Cousin of Machete.
Cousin of Machete.
Claro.
Really?
Of course.
Okay.
I'm just a plural.
I'm not, okay. I'm not messing with you. I'm not messing with you. Let's get right to it today. Who do we got? Jojo Diaz. Jojo,
Yes.
are you on the phone right now? Are you on the line? There you
Sir,
are.
what up?
How's it going? The ex-world champion Jojo Diaz in the house. Before I start, Jojo, I got to ask you, is it Jojo? Is it Joseph? I've seen both. What do you go by? What do your friends call? Because for me, my name's Paolo. I turned into Paul when I moved to the U.S., and then in Brooklyn, you become Paulie. And that's stuck ever since. How does it work with you? What is your official name? And obviously, everybody seems to call you Jojo, right?
Yeah, everyone around calls me Jojo, man. So what's the guy?
But your birth name is Joseph?
Joseph, yeah, Joseph
okay.
Diaz.
Okay, all right, cool.
There you go.
No, because honestly, sometimes I see like these celebs, like they get a little older, and suddenly they try to look a little more mature. Like Danny Bonaducci became Daniel Bonaducci. You know, and I don't know. I never went for that. I stayed Paulie. I'm 41 and I'm still Paulie. I don't want anybody to call me Paul. I'm Paulie's fine for me. I don't understand.
Well, and Jojo will forever be Jojo, and we've known each other since he was like
Jojo, just don't go
boy.
Hollywood on us and become don't go Hollywood on us and become Joseph. You're Jojo. We know you as Jojo. We love you as Jojo. You want you to stay Jojo.
Maybe when I'm like 35, I might have everybody call me Joseph.
Joseph. All right.
There you go.
He's gonna go more ethnic.
Yeah, Jose Diaz.
All right.
Joseph.
Good stuff.
I know,
man.
but he's going to go the full-blown Josep.
Josep. Oh, with a P.
Because
Josep.
Joseph.
Yes.
That's full-blown ethnic. All right.
Exactly.
You got to get in touch with your roots.
Why
Nothing wrong
not?
with that. Nothing wrong with that. So, right now you're Jojo. We're gonna go dress you as Jojo. What's going on, man? How is your new year? How's things going?
Everything's going well, man. I can't complain. My son's doing well. I'm doing well. We got a fight coming up in April. Right now, I'm enjoying my time off right now. I'm going to Glamis. I just bought a Samuel, so
Okay.
I'm going to test it out here in the Glamis Dunes right now. So I'm very excited, man. Everything's going good right now. I can't complain.
Good. How old is your son now, Jojo?
He's a year and 3 months.
A year and 3 months. Have you been able to be home a lot for him? Have you been away training? Or have you gotten to see him grow? Because at that age they grow fast. I feel
From
like,
one day to the next.
I feel like if you're away from your kid in the first year, in 2 weeks, like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and they look different already. They grow different. Have you been able to spend a lot of time?
Yeah. As of right now, man, I've been spending like as much time as I can with them because it's my time off. I spoke to my team saying that I wanted to start my camp again soon and I wanted to start fighting again. So they gave me the date. So I'm going to be starting my training camp. But during my time off, man, that's all I've been doing. I've been spending time with my son, just watching him grow, watching him, enjoy the New Year's, enjoy Christmas. It's been awesome, man. It's been awesome of just seeing him develop and seeing him being able to walk now, being able to talk now, say different things, man. It's amazing.
And it's not just you bonding with him, it's also him bonding with you.
Exactly.
It's
a two-way street.
Exactly. Yeah. We create a bond, and that's the best thing about fatherhood is about creating a bond that both of you guys are never going to forget.
Absolutely.
But first things first, remember, as a matter of fact, when we're talking about camp, that took you away and you took some time off to celebrate his first birthday during that preparation for the last fight against Devin Haney. That must have been tough, though.
Well, absolutely. I mean, it was tough. There's always a balance between things with my career and with my boxing career and what I want to do as far as succeeding in boxing. But as far as my personal life and as far as fatherhood, I want to make sure that I'm there for my son as well through everything, through his first birthday, through, everything that he goes through, all the trials and tribulations. I want to make sure that my son knows that I go through everything with him. So I made sure that during that time when it was his birthday, I made sure that me and him spent some time together. And I was able to enjoy not only his first birthday, but my son's first birthday, man. It was such a beautiful feeling and just such a fulfillment being able to be a father to my son at just 1 year old, man. It's amazing.
Yo, speaking of birthdays, Jojo, I've probably ribbed you about this before. What's up with the November 23rd birthday? I tell people, man, it's a special birthday. And when you won the world title, I was happy just because. All right, we got another November 23rd birthday.
Is it the day that all the champs are born? Is it that gives you a better opportunity to get a title?
Another date. I don't know another date where multiple world champions are born. I mean, I'm not saying they don't exist, but three in one day. It's me. I'm November 23rd, 80. Keith Thurman
too, right?
November 23rd, 88. And you're November 23rd, 92. So the only unfortunate thing is I'm the oldest of the bunch.
I was just going to say that. Let's just forget about the year.
Yeah.
Hey, yo, Paulie, hey, I gotta start getting some life advice from you, man.
No. The November 23rd babies. No, but man, when I saw you win, I was actually in Miami when you beat Tevin Farmer. I was at the fight, and we were all there. I knew it was your dreams of your life, your life's work coming together, and that wasn't an easy fight to win. That wasn't even on paper. Farmer had been very crafty, a very difficult guy to beat. First, let's start with that. Going into that world championship fight. Did you have a feeling that possibly that this could be your last chance, especially after coming up short in the Gary Russell fight? It reminded me a lot of the way I went through that scenario where I lost to Miguel Cotto in my first world championship fight, and I got another title shot, and I felt like it had to happen. Otherwise, they might not be so willing to give me another title shot if I keep coming up short. What was your mindset going into that fight? Because honestly, man, you didn't fight easy world champions. I mean, you fought Gary Russell first, and then you fought Tevin Farmer. I mean, you didn't get the shot at the vacant title or things like that. What was going through your mind going into that Farmer fight?
Oh yeah, going into my mind with the Farmer fight, man, it was sink or swim. I mean, after I lost the Gary Russell fight, I took literally 5 steps back. A lot of people, they don't realize, but boxing is a really, really cool sport where once you lose, a lot of people, start having self-doubt, start doubting you, and you got to build your way back up. And with me, man, I was going through a lot after I lost the Gary Russell fight. I was going through a lot with, my management and just with me as far as, guiding my career and trying to, make a name for myself and try to be the person that I feel like I could be. So I was literally just brainstorming during that time, man. And thankfully I was able to, get into Farmer's ear via Twitter and talk shit to him, tell him shit that he didn't want to hear. And it was spreading a lot of publicity where people started getting engaged and people wanted to see that fight. And I ended up making that fight happen. And once I ended up making that fight happen, I knew it was a point where I knew that it was sink or swim. And it was a point where either I had to win this fight or I just got to go and do something else. So going into that fight, man, I knew that no matter what was going to happen into that fight, I had to win the fight. Going into that fight, man. So once I got that cut in the second round, I knew it was very, very tragic. I knew it was pretty bad, but I paid no mind to it, man. I just stuck to the game plan, and I just knew what I had to do to be victorious. And I stuck to the game plan, and at the end of the day, man, I ended up winning, ended up coming out victorious, and I ended up becoming the new world champ.
The thing about that fight too, with Farmer, he's a crafty guy. He made a lot of guys look bad.
And the cut. What about the cut? We have to talk about that cut.
The cut as well. It's funny because there's a lot of there's similarities with me and you in that way too. I remember when I did win the title, I got cut against Cotto, but I had a bad cut the next year too when I beat Endo for the title. And it's the same thing. You're like your back is against the wall. And was it? Obviously, from a financial perspective, you obviously know this now. You've won a world championship. Things change when you win a world championship. Your minimums go up. Everything goes up, right? You're making a lot better money. But it's also the situation where, you're not just fighting for money. You're fighting to accomplish your life's dream, your life's
legacy.
work. Your life's work. Your legacy starts, I think you started after you win a world championship, but your life's work in general, first, you're going for that achievement of that world championship and that title, it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of things. And like you said, Jojo, a lot of people, you find out who your friends are after you take an L, after you take a loss, and the way they either stick by your side or the way they don't stick by your side.
Or you get dropped like a bad habit. I remember, and just to add to that Tevin Farmer fight, I remember I walked into your space. They had little like RVs. And this was the calmest I had ever seen Jojo is usually very hyper, very happy-go-lucky, but on that occasion, I think because of all the weight that you were carrying, you were so relaxed, and it was like, I will never forget the sentence where you said, "My work is done. Now I just have to show up." And then that cut, man. That just put everything in perspective, because they could have stopped, and they could have stopped that fight at any given moment. Yeah. And they didn't. They let it go. And talk about.
Did you feel like you were in danger of them stopping? Was there a situation where the doctor was in the corner and making you feel like it was going to get stopped?
Right away, when the referee breaks the fight, for the doctor to see a cut, that's when you know that, all right, maybe it's something a little bad. Yeah. So once I knew that they broke it up, and once I knew that I was getting, engaged with the doctor, I knew that something was that I had a pretty bad cut. So I was like, all right, man, I still got to stick to the game plan. I still got to do what I do, but I don't want to scare myself either. I don't want to look up at the, at the TVs or anything like that and scare myself either. I just got to go and stick to my game plan. So what I did was I literally just walked into the corner. I told my dad and I told my team, like, yo, how about the cut? And thankfully my team told me, like, yo, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. Like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, man. Just stick to the game plan. It's not that bad. So once they told me that, man, that made me build my confidence, and that made me just, realize what I was here to do. And at that night, at that very moment, that was what I was meaning to do, man, was just to go out there and capitalize and execute and do everything I needed to do to become champion, man. Because ever since I was 11 years old, ever since I was a youngin', man, I always thought about becoming a world champion. So, and I always promised my parents, I always promised my family, I always promised everybody that I was going to become world champion. So once I was able to give the opportunity again to do that, I knew that I wasn't going to let that slip by. So I literally just risked it all, and I took a risk, and I stuck to the game plan. I knew Tevin Farmer is a different type of fighter. He's very slick and he's very elusive. So I knew that if I was still being aggressive and if I was still dictating the pace, I knew that it wasn't going to be as damaging as to an opponent that is very dangerous, that has a lot of power and stuff, because Tevin Farmer is very slick. So what I wanted to do was still execute and still be that rugged type of person to show the judges and to show everybody that I was still in charge of the rounds and I was winning every single round. And that's what made me champion.
And, there was a lot of talk about a rematch. I remember you guys were kind of going back and forth about that, too. There was a little bit of trash talking even with the rematch. What ended up happening there? Did the time go by for the rematch clause, or did the time expire? What ended up happening there? Because I know Farmer now is also considering going 135 pounds, so you never know. That might be a fight for you guys again.
Man, I'll love to beat Tevin Farmer's ass again, man. If the opportunity is given itself, man, at 135, man, I'm a whole different type of animal, and I just feel like if me and Tevin were to fight at 135 pounds, man, it would just be a one-sided fight. Tevin Farmer, he's a very, very good fighter, but he has a lot of he has a lot of flaws, and he has a lot of tendencies where he does the same thing. And I'm the type of person that picks on those tendencies and sees the type of flaws that you do and executes on the game plan. And that's what I did that night. So I don't know, man. Like I said, the fight was a very, very tough fight, but I already knew going into the fight that I was able to just dictate the pace, and that's what I did.
Yeah, and he did a great job. And talking about opportunities, I mean, we've all looked at the politics in boxing. We all know how things function behind the scenes, and nobody was raising their hand to face Devin Haney. And you come and you say, you know what, I'm going to take this fight. Your fight had just fallen through, and you said, I'm prepared. I'm going to take this challenge. What was going through your head? As you had just fought so hard, you fought Fortuna, you came back, and you decide, I'm going to take this challenge. One person that I know has never shied away from a good challenge, but what motivated you to take this fight?
Yeah, well, after the Javier Fortuna fight, there was multiple fights that were being handed to me, And one of the biggest fights that were to be made for myself and for my career at the time was with Ryan Garcia. So me and my team were trying to make that Ryan Garcia fight happen. He was in agreements. I was in agreements. We almost had the fight finalized, and then all of a sudden he pulled out of injury. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to like say that Ryan Garcia is trying to like, dodge me or anything like that. I know he's one hell of a fighter, and I wish him nothing but the best in his career. But at that point, it kind of seemed like that. So
that was the hand injury.
Yeah, and also, wasn't Ryan supposed to fight Fortuna first? Right?
And he pulled out because of
they were
mental
gonna fight
issues.
each other.
Yes.
And then
and you took that fight too. It's like, again, you take on whatever challenge is coming to you.
Exactly. Like I'm the type of person that is willing to fight whoever wants to step in the ring with me. And with Javier Fortuna, I knew that Ryan Garcia ended up pulling out. I ended up texting Golden Boy Promotion. I was like, man, like, if you guys are looking for a fighter that needs to fight Javier Fortuna, put me in.
And that's not an easy fight that look good in, man. I mean, Fortuna's always like one of these grimy guys who has deceiving power and also has like a weird style that disrupts your time.
No, he doesn't make anybody look good. Yeah.
Literally after the fourth round when I was fighting him, man, I was like, oh shit, man, it's gonna be a long night.
We remember that corner.
Man, it's just different. It's literally just different fighting the guys that are at that elite level. The guys that have been there before, that know how to use their power, that know how to use their experience, that knows how to use their knowledge in the ring. And Javier Fortuna had all of that, man. He was very, very slick and very, very hungry fighter. But I just felt like I had that. I had everything going for myself, and I knew how much I needed to win for my career, and how much I needed to win, not only for my career, but for myself and for people in general, man, to showcase to people who I am. And I wanted to just prove to everybody, man, that Javier Fortuna is not no boogeyman. Everybody was dodging him. Devin Haney dodged him. Ryan Garcia dodged him. A lot of fighters dodged Javier Fortuna. And I want to be the fighter that showcased to everybody that this guy ain't nothing, man. Like, he's human just like us. He's beatable just like us. And I was able to beat him. Once I beat him, that's when we got the Ryan offer. Ryan ended up, pulling out. And then that's when Devin Haney ended up, saying a lot of things on Instagram and on social media. And once he started saying some things, man, you know me, the type of person I am. I ended up calling my people, telling everybody that was on my side that I wanted to make the Devin Haney fight happen. And, we ended up making that fight happen. It was a really, really good fight. I felt like, overall, I feel like Devin Haney is not a better fighter than I am. I feel like I'm more of a experienced fighter. I'm more of a knowledgeable fighter. I just feel like he had a better game plan going into the fight. I feel like I didn't execute my game plan the way I should have. I should have, started a little more earlier. I should have jumped on him a little more earlier. I would say like in the third or fourth round. If I would have picked it up, and if I would have, built that momentum and build that energy that I brought in the seventh and eighth round, I feel like it would have just been a whole different turnout. But it is what it is. It was a learning lesson. And I just got to adapt from it. I got to grow bigger.
And was it so? What do you attribute that to, Jojo? You started a little bit slow. What do you attribute that? Was that because he seems like, was that the biggest guy you ever fought? He's a big lightweight, right? I mean, he's lanky, he's tall,
long reach,
at the weight,
very long reach.
And he likes to fight at that range. Was it just a matter of you just had to figure out how to close the range, how to close the gap, and that's why you started slow? What do you attribute the slow start to? Because once you got going, you threw a bunch of punches. Once you got going, there were moments where you were moving your hands.
But it took him about 4 rounds to get in.
And Devin was uncomfortable inside. So he wants to keep that range. He's comfortable at that range, and he wants to keep that middle to long range. So in the moments that you did get inside, you made it work and you made your hands move. But what was it that prevented you from getting inside early? Was it just a matter of you had to figure him out, or was it just you started slow because he's moving around and he's lanky?
Well, obviously, Devin Haney is a way bigger fighter, man. He's long, he's rangy. He knows how to use his distance, and he knows how to control his range. And going into the fight, I knew it was going to be like that, so I had to fill him out a little bit from the jump. But when I was filling him out, I knew I could have got in on him. I knew I could have exchanged, and I was able to create my distance whenever I wanted to. But the only thing that was holding me back was just him having the opportunity to counterpunch me if I would do like little things here and there. Like, let's say like I would do like a little jab, and if he were to counterpunch me, the judges would see that, and the judges would, will give him credit because of that. So I was always having that in my second mind, in the back of my mind, where I didn't want to jump the gun, and I didn't want to overexpose myself, because if I would overexpose myself, it would counter me, and it would look good to the audience, and it would look good to the judges. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to make sure that when I did get in there at range, I was landing very effective shots, and I was hurting him, and the judges would see that. But he was still doing. He was being effective in certain ways, but he wasn't being effective as far as hurting me. He was being effective as far as pleasing the judges, as far as showing the judges
production.
That he was being in control of the fight.
Eye-catching.
Yes.
I wanted to share these cards because I was mind blown. One card was 116, 112, and then two were 117, 111. I thought they're just a little too spread out. I mean, I think the fight was a little closer than 117, 111. Yeah, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I was there at the fight. I thought
me too.
7-5, 8, 16, 12. I can possibly
116,
forgive
112.
I can 8-4 fight, but I had it more of a 7-5 fight, Jojo. But I also.
But not 117, 111.
No, I mean,
that's just ridiculous.
That's just, they don't want to work, and they just fill it out before they want to get
Shut up.
down.
But I want to know how Jojo, looking back, now telling us how he felt and how he saw that he was just a little uptight and that he had a slow start. How do you feel about those two cards, 117, 111?
I mean, I'm pissed off. Not only am I pissed off on the scorecard, I'm just pissed off on my performance. I wish that someone would have told me that I was down, or someone would have just gave me that
heads up,
that extra motivation to that extra heads up that I was down on the scorecard going into the 6th or 7th round. If I would have known that, if I would have known that I was losing the early rounds, I would have turned that shit up a notch. I mean, I would have just risked it all. But at the end of the day, man, like I said, it is what it is. I just gotta learn from it. I just gotta adjust from it, and I gotta take it as a grain of salt. And I just gotta, know that it was a learning experience, and it's just gonna better me.
How do you see Haney stacking up in that lightweight division? It's pretty packed with talent. There's probably opportunities there for you too to slip in there once you come back and get a win or two. There's a lot of big names there. How do you see him stacking up with the rest of the lightweights?
You know what? I personally think Devin Haney should move up in weight. I think that I personally don't think that he should stay at 135. I think that he cuts too much weight where he depletes himself, where he's not able to carry his punch or carry his power that he has in training camp into the fight. To 135 pounds. I think if he were to go to 140, 147, I think he would feel more comfortable, more stronger, and he would be able to, land some shots where it would be effective, where he will be able to knock some guys out.
Well, if you think about it, he's got the height and the reach, 71 inches worth of reach. I get easy even 147. I don't see him having any issues going up to 147.
You got to deal with the punch and power once you start going up too many weight classes. The punch and power coming back is of another level once you start moving up too many weight classes. But I agree with you, Jojo. I think he's a big lightweight. I can't see him staying at lightweight for too much longer.
He's 23.
There's actually several guys at that weight. Even Teofimo Lopez, I think, is a big lightweight.
And that's one of the things that
could move up.
Teo actually said, that it's impossible for his body to stay at 135. That's one of the things that he fought the most for this fight against Kambosos. And when we talk about Kambosos, we still have Loma, we have Ryan, we still have the very well-seasoned Jorge Linares, beautiful boxing too. Rolando Romero, which of course we've known, and Isaac Cruz Gonzalez. Yeah. I think Pitbull has been an outstanding.
Yeah, I think he's a fun fighter.
Yes, a very fun fighter to watch. So there's a lot of width and depth at 135, and it's amazing because it's been like that for a few years now.
Yeah, and there's guys who are moving up and guys who are coming up from that move up as well. Jojo, if Haney and Teo move up, I mean, there's basically a lot of ex-130-pound world champions suddenly in the mix. So you're suddenly not really the guy that's just coming up in weight that's undersized. If Haney and Teofimo Lopez move up, you've got a weight class full of lightweights that are actually ex-super featherweights, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's the 135-pound division is going to be stacked, and I feel like it's a matter of when Devin Haney and Teofimo move up. I think Teofimo is already, moving up. I think Devin Haney, if you don't get the Gamboa's fight, I think he's going to move up as well. So it's a matter of just when. So I think my body is personally getting more filled out at 135. I'm able to, feel more comfortable. I'm able to gain more power, do a little more strength training where I'm able to carry more weight, but also still have the speed. And I have the velocity to go out there and perform at my best and to perform at a high rate. And that's what I'm planning on doing. So, I mean, the 135-pound division is still fully stacked. So I'm just waiting for the other opportunity. I'm hoping by the end of this year I could get an Isaac Cruz fight or a Garcia fight. But we'll just see where life takes us.
Right now, in your mind, who is the number one guy at lightweight? It's a debate that's going on all over boxing. I mean, there's different people that feel different guys are number one. Who's the number one guy at lightweight in your mind?
It's definitely not Kambosos, man. Definitely not Kambosos. I would say Devin Haney. Devin Haney right now. Devin Haney right now is the most sharpest fighter and more disciplined fighter that I feel that would take on the whole division right now.
So you feel Haney beats the other guys, Kambosos,
Loma, Ryan Garcia.
Ryan Garcia.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Interesting.
But I like that.
But again, there's a lot of again. This is a weight class where you're getting these kind of answers. It's not really a right answer until they fight each other. So hopefully we get to see these guys all fighting each other. You got Gervonta Davis there too. You've got a lot of guys.
Devin decides
because you figure too, like Ryan Garcia, he hasn't fought anybody. No. He hasn't fought anybody tough. He hasn't fought anybody in the rank 10 at 135 for him to actually be noticeable at 135 pounds. You got Kambosos that fought Teofimo Lopez. That Teofimo Lopez was literally like a bodybuilder going into the fight. He literally he was 165, 170 pounds going into the training camp where he had to drop all that weight. So all that depletion. Teofimo Lopez had Kambosos hurt. He had him out. I believe in the
9th round.
Some technical difficulties.
Yes.
Why the Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
Hey, Jojo, you there?
But I remember that fight, in that that flash knockdown that Kambosos did to Teo, you could see Teo was still there, 100%.
Yeah, it was. But
it was not the same. Kambosos recovered, and I still don't understand how he recovered. And all of a sudden, he got his legs back. And I'm thinking, how?
That's Kambosos' bread and butter. Is that that stern backbone?
It's impressive.
He comes through, but it's funny because a lot of Aussie fighters have that.
Yes.
Going back to Jeff Fennick, a lot of guys from Australia tend to be these. Is
it the water?
Hard-nosed. I don't know. Maybe it's just the way they raise them over there.
It's incredible.
Hard-nosed people,
yeah, it's they.
I never felt Kambosos was in trouble in that fight.
No. Like he fell down.
Even when he went down, I never felt like
it was because he wobbled a little bit, and then the ref went up to him, and he's like, "Fine." He looked at his dad, and that's when he spit blood and everything on our table.
And then he came back and 100% had a great round. I think the very next round.
My point was, it wasn't. Teo was not in that fight because once he had him, he didn't close the gap and he didn't just finish it off.
Nah.
He just allowed Kambosos to recover.
It just looked like a little bit of a an on edge Teofimo Lopez. You know, Jojo made a good point. You know, he gone up into the into the training camp very heavy. You know, he is a big lightweight. So when you're big at the weight, you need to make sure that the in between training camp time is also spent doing some kind of training.
Yeah,
because
not just let it go.
When you're big at the weight and you don't do anything in between training camps, you're going to start extra heavy.
Well, training camp becomes weight loss camp.
Yeah. You know,
but you know what? I'm going to throw something here on just because we got to throw this subject matter. And he's alluded, I'm talking about Teofimo, he's alluded to his mental state on a regular basis, how he was not totally there for that fight. There were a lot of moving parts. But we've talked about that in many fights, many fighters. You know, life does happen.
Yeah. It does.
So, but how do you switch it off? Like in your case, Paulie.
Well, you know, it's a situation where I saw Ray Leonard say this once. You know, part of being a star is understanding how to handle all of it, understanding how to handle fight week, understanding how to handle training camp, understanding how to handle the time in between camp, understanding how to be a star. You want to be a star, it takes more than just, you know, being a champion. Being a champion is already very difficult, but then there are champions that can become stars. If you want to have that stardom and being a champion, you got to understand how to have that maturity when there are things that can distract you, when there are things that can get in your way and take your mind and focus away. You know, and sometimes, especially at a young age, you know, you're dealing with a lot of that. But that's also what made Leonard so special too. Speaking of a guy who did it, right?
Yes.
He's a guy, you know, he won a championship at a young age, and he had the mental maturity and the mental makeup to, you know, stay in there. Even though he lost the Duran fight, you know, he had the mental makeup, mental capacity to come back and win it, and then come back and beat Hearns, and you know, just all of that. So
Leonard is Leonard, and then like him, we can also refer to stars like Vargas, like Golden Boy, like Bernard Hopkins.
Yeah, even Mayweather won a world title very young.
Yeah.
You know, the main goal, and sure, Floyd had all the flashiness, all the possible distractions. But at the end of the day, nothing could distract Floyd away from wanting to be the best. He loved the distractions. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Floyd liked the big cars, the big money, the flash life, all this other stuff. We've seen around Floyd Mayweather ever since he started winning world championships. But you keep the main goal, which is to be the best. If you want to be the best, no matter what distractions are going to come in, because undoubtedly distractions will come into your life when you're a champion.
But you still have to show up.
But yes, not only do you have to show up, but how hungry are you? How much do you want to be the best? Do you just want to be a star, or do you want to be the best? When you want to be the best, you start to handle the stardom with it very well. If you just want to be a star and you don't prioritize being the best, then being a star is going to be much more difficult, you know?
Paulie.
Oh, we got Jojo back.
We got you back, man. What's going on?
Hey, sorry, my phone died, man. But
all good.
There's something called the charger.
yeah,
I don't know. I'm just saying.
We're going to get you those portable ones, too.
We'll send you one of those,
I'm in an RV right now, so, like, my bad.
Yeah, you know, I had my lawyer, Steve Bash. His phone was never, ever worked. He's always dying.
What?
Steve,
a lawyer without a... Wait, stop.
His old phone's always
Jojo.
dying. Every time I call him, his phone's always dying.
Jojo, have you ever heard of a lawyer without a phone? I've never heard of that.
That's a sign you got to fire him.
Exactly. No kidding. Jojo, we were just talking about, I don't know if you got a chance to get a glimpse of the conversation we were having, and it was about mental state and stardom and obviously distractions and what makes, you know, a bad day it just becomes a bad day, but it doesn't define you. You just have to keep going. You have to pull through. We've had candid conversations where you've had one of those dark moments, but you still push through. What's the one thing that you keep in mind to keep pushing through?
Well, what keeps me in mind is my son now. There's a lot of trials and tribulations that people go through day in and day out of everybody's lives, but it's a matter of what you want and what makes you truly happy and what makes you want to keep going in life. And you got to find that. You got to find that it factor. And with me, that it factor is providing a future foundation for my son and bettering his lifestyle through me and through my foundation and through what I'm able to provide for him. So that is basically what is meaningful for my life, that makes me, you know, cancel out all the negativity that I have in my mind, all the bullshit that goes through, you know, the anxieties and the depression. I always got to make sure that I'm always thinking positive, not only for myself, but for my son, because I want to make sure that I have that positive mindset and that strong energy. So that way, when my son goes through that, he could see that I went through that, and he could push forward.
So you want to basically,
Transparency.
it's one of those things with leading by examples.
Yes.
And that's the thing.
Exactly.
Kids are impressionable. You know, when we're kids, we're impressionable, and then you realize, you know, when you're an adult, that kids are impressionable. So you say one thing, you tell them what to do is one thing, but when you lead by example, when they see you following the advice you're giving them, that example. It plays
you walk your talk.
A big part. Yeah,
you walk your
plays
talk.
a big part.
Yes,
you know, that was a big influence on my life with my grandfather. You know, it was like,
and the influence
I didn't want to listen to anybody, but I started to notice the way he lived and the way he lived his life, and that's kind of the what you're explaining here, Joe.
And you've done that also with your siblings, especially with your young sister.
Mm-hmm.
You've led by example. So
you know,
kudos to you.
Because thanks to Claudia. But you know, that's the thing. I think anybody in life, I think when you're trying to give advice, it's nice to give advice. It's nice when you've experienced it, but it's even better when you're taking your advice, because that way people can understand exactly how it works. So Jojo, I totally get what you're saying there.
Yes.
And speaking of motivation, speaking of what motivates you, so we talk about, you know, you're getting ready for camp for your next fight. Anybody you're looking at or to take on in the next fight? I know you're saying by the end of the year you wanted somebody like a Garcia or a Pitbull Diaz or a Ryan Garcia, but who are you looking at in April or May?
Well, I was literally trying to target Isaac Cruz. I'm trying to get the Isaac Cruz fight. I've been pushing with MCK and Golden Boy Promotions to give me the Isaac Cruz fight. They said that they sent them the offer, so we'll see what they try to say. But if we don't get that Isaac Cruz fight, I definitely want to fight somebody like Jorge Linares, somebody that is still in the top 10 and somebody that is still very dangerous, but somebody that I know that is going to take me to the top again, because I want to showcase to everybody, man, that, you know, 135-pound division is still open, and I feel like I'm a major threat at that weight, and I feel like I'm a major contender. So once I beat one of these guys, and once I get rid of, you know, Isaac Cruz or Jorge Linares, it's going to put me right back to the top.
Personally, I'd love to see you with Isaac Cruz. I think stylistically, it's a
great fight. Yes,
you guys, the frame on you guys, you know, you guys are both
those styles,
a little short for the weight, but you both know how to maintain
explosive,
how to fight. You know how to basically use that to your advantage.
Yeah, and not only that, man, I feel like with me and Isaac Cruz, it'll be a very, very entertaining fight, because he's the type of person that wants to, you know, dictate and be very, very controlling and be aggressive, but I'm the type of person that likes to fight in the pocket.
Yeah, and he doesn't have to find you. He won't have to find you.
And you love to stay in that little gap.
Yeah. So like, if he wants to be aggressive and if he wants to bang with me, then so be it. But best believe you're going to be getting 4 or 5 punches coming back at you.
What do you think of his punching power?
I don't know, man. It just, I see Isaac Cruz. He's a little small. He's a little smaller than me. He's about 5'4", 5'5". He's a little stocky. I just don't think that he has that punching power that would be as effective to hurt me. I think I'll be able to, you know, just catch his punches and just eat those punches and just counter punch.
The reason I ask is because I've never seen somebody back up Gervonta Davis the way he did. And Gervonta can box, so obviously Gervonta was able to fight on the back foot. He was able to capably win the fight, even though, you know, he was put under pressure and under duress. He had to work for it. But it made me think, okay, maybe this guy has punching power, has to be respected, because I've never seen Gervonta, who himself carries a lot of power, start to back up and fight on the back foot. I'm granted he was able to do it, but that's why I asked you that question. I wanted to. I was thinking like, okay, maybe this guy has some kind of respectable power. I guess you don't know until you're in the ring with him, but nonetheless, he is a little bit on the slower side.
But let's
I just personally think that Gervonta Davis probably had hand injuries going into the fight.
Okay,
and he ended up injuring his hand in the fight, where he wasn't able to be the fighter that he wants to be. I think that if Gervonta Davis was the person that was just walking him down, catching and countering, he would have got Isaac Cruz out of there. Mm-hmm. I just think that he ended up, you know, having some type of injury during training camp, where it added on to the fight, and it ended up getting worse, where he had to, you know, switch up the whole game plan and just win the fight.
Yeah, no, I thought he boxed brilliantly. He boxed well.
He boxed beautifully, but I don't want to show any disrespect to his power, but we need to qualify. Numbers can just be numbers, but we need to qualify those knockouts. Who did they come against?
No, I don't do that anymore.
Diego Magdaleno.
I can't do it, Claudia. Not when I've seen guys like Marcos Maidana and Ricardo Torres come from that part of the world, the Central and South America. They come up fighting nobody, and these guys hit like rocks. No way. I seen it a couple of times. I saw Marcos Maidana. I'm like, who'd this guy fight? And then then he's knocking everybody out. I saw Ricardo Torres years ago. Who's this guy out? And he's knocking everybody out.
But we knew who El Chino was because we
saw him against Kotelnik in Germany, but that was it. Even Ricardo Torres when he fought Cotto. And Jojo, I don't know if you remember this fight when Ricardo Torres and Cotto. I mean, he came back. And nobody knew who Ricardo Torres was. He was the number one contender. He dropped Cotto twice in the fight. Almost knocked him out.
And that's when we realized that Cotto could be a little chinny. Let's not forget.
But Ricardo was knocking everybody out.
I know. At 140.
He continued to do it.
It was at 140. But let's be clear. Gervonta showed that Isaac Cruz has beautiful boxing, which is what we're not used to seeing Mexicans with that style of boxing. Yeah. We're used to seeing the Mexican style brawlers, vertical and flat footed.
But I thought Pitbull pressured Gervonta well.
That's what I'm saying. We saw that beautifully.
Pitbull, he really did pressure him very, very, very well, but Gervonta Davis, he never showed any signs of hurtness. No. He never showed any signs of him
pain.
Actually, I enjoyed.
He was never in trouble.
I enjoyed seeing the versatility Gervonta showed in that fight. Honestly,
exactly.
I always felt like
he was very calm and very selective. Yeah. He did very well.
Yeah, I always felt like he had the athleticism to box that way, but he was, people were getting so.
Stuck.
Just stuck and just so obsessed over his power that they were forgetting that this kid might have this kind of ability.
And he does.
I think it was good that he got to show that as well. Now, but I'll tell you what. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask, this would be a fight that might happen at the end of April or mid-April?
It's going to be early April. It's going to be on the Ryan Garcia card. I'll be the co-main event.
I'll tell you what, though.
There you go. Elimination fight.
I hope it's Pitbull and not Jorge Linares, because I think Jorge Linares has had a great career, but that means I don't know. It's a good fight. Don't get me wrong. I think Jorge is still top 10. Lightweight, right?
Exactly.
Jojo? Is Jorge still top 10?
Yeah, he's still top 10.
I feel like he's on the slide. I feel like you are hungry. Pitbull is hungry. I just feel like from a mentality standpoint, it's a better fight. At least, I mean, in my opinion. I mean, listen, you can't take away Jorge Linares as far as his accolades. But I feel like there comes a point in your career where you're not the same kind of fighter mentally. It would be great for you to get a win over him. Don't get me wrong. You know what I'm saying? But I'm a fan right now, right? So I feel like as a fan, Jojo and Pitbull is the fight I would rather see. I want to see that excitement.
Styles make fights.
Absolutely. Yes, and I'm the type of person too that I don't want to take on a Jorge Linares that is already old and washed up. I don't want to beat him like that, man. I'd rather take on a young, hungry fighter like Isaac Cruz that is trying to make a name for himself, is hungry and ready to go, is very dangerous, and is a person that is trying to make a name for himself, because that's the type of fighter that I am, and I'm willing to go out there and leave it all out in the ring. So I'm hoping that we actually lock in this deal. We already shot them the offer. We're just waiting to see it back.
And Joe, he's kind of in the situation you were in. I mean, you don't have a world title, but he's you still represent a big name in boxing. Mm-hmm. He's kind of in the situation you were in after he lost to Gary Russell, where
he has nothing to lose, really.
He looked good in losing, but at the same time, he needs to get a win. There's only so many moral victories boxing will allow you.
And what better name to have than Jojo Diaz?
Yeah, so he's going to be in the same situation. You understand the situation he's going to be in if you get that fight.
Yeah, it's a win-win for both of us, man. I mean, obviously we both came off of losses with tough opponents, but now it's a matter of who wants it more. Yeah. And I think that this fight is going to be the challenging and the aspect of who wants it more. So if me and Isaac Cruz were to fight, whoever wins that fight goes out and fights the champion.
Yes.
And I think that it makes perfect sense, and I think that the fight fans will love it. I think that the boxing fans will love it. And that's the type of fight that I want, man. I'm calling Isaac Cruz right now. I want to fight him.
Yeah, and you know what? You said win-win. I'll add one more to that. It's win-win-win, because even from a fan's perspective,
it's going to be a great fight.
Is the kind of fight you want to see. Two hungry guys. You guys are teetering because you're coming off a loss, so both of you are in a position where you have to get a win. And you are both good fighters. You are both still in the prime of your careers. And so mentally, you'll be ferocious. Physically, you're still very capable. I love when two guys are at a point in their careers. I hate to say it, even a little bit on a desperate side, but it makes it such ferocious fight. Speaking of the Gervonta Davis and Isaac Cruz fight, I keep talking about this fight that I saw on the undercard of that show was Sergey Derevyanchenko and Carlos Adames.
Yes.
These guys look like on the edge. Like, they're both excellent fighters, but they haven't crossed over yet. They both needed to just get that win, and they got to face each other. And you could see the ferocity in the fight as well as the skills. Again, from your perspective, it's more work, Jojo. But from a fan's perspective, I mean,
We
that's
love
the kind
it.
of fights we love
Yes.
to see. You know what I mean? Like, we
love it.
So, you know, because speaking as a fan, we hope you get that Pitbull fight. Yo, before I let you go, I got to bring up something. I remember in the Gary Russell fight, the fighter meetings, you brought up, you're talking with your father. I don't know if it was the Gary Russell fight or if it was another fight actually earlier in your career where you fought on Showtime. But I remember in the fighter meetings, your father saying you guys started boxing. When you started boxing, he learned to teach you from reading books. Did I remember that correctly?
Yes.
Did I remember that correctly?
Yeah, he
That's an unbelievable story, bro. I don't know how you don't talk about this more often. That's crazy. That's unbelievable because you became an Olympian and a world champion, bro. I don't understand how you don't talk about this like every second. That's an anomaly.
Yo, reading books and going off of YouTube too, man.
That's what I'm saying, bro. It's wild. Yeah. So you're telling me with no YouTube, maybe you wouldn't have become a world champion and an Olympian. You see what I'm saying? This is a commercial for YouTube right here. This is a walking commercial for YouTube.
But wait, let's not take away the fact that Jojo was born to fight.
Of course.
He would have picked a fight in any corner in LA.
Still, but he was able to do it right. He was able to get the right teaching.
His boxing is beautiful. His fundamentals are there, man.
Of course, you don't get the Olympics without the proper fundamentals.
Yes.
I always tell people, you know how to fight. When you win in the amateurs, you know how to fight. Sometimes in the pros, you got a lot of power. You got an intangible.
But your footwork is not there.
Yeah, you have an intangible that'll win you. But when you win in the amateurs, you know how to box.
But Jojo knows
because you got to know how to box to win in the amateurs.
I only have one beef with Jojo, and I've had this since we've known each other for a long time, right? What? It's like,
yes.
Jojo, what is it, Jojo?
It's because I don't speak Spanish.
I love you for that, but you know what? I have faith. It's gonna happen one day.
But Jojo, make sure you teach your son then, all right? Make sure your son.
2026.
Make sure you
2026.
Make sure your son grows up learning Spanish. Then learn from what you learn from the mistakes. Teach your son Spanish.
He better know Spanish, man. Else I'm gonna beat his ass.
Oh,
good stuff. Good stuff. Yo, Jojo, it was
Jojo.
It was great having you on, man. Great chat. We wish you the best in the future. We hope you get that Pitbull fight, and if you don't, regardless, we wish you the best. Thank you, man.
And we're gonna be watching always.
God bless y'all. God bless y'all.
I love Jojo.
Yeah, it's great.
I get so inspired. It's a happy feeling.
Yeah, personable, a good kid, and a great conversation.
Yes.
Great conversation.
Yes.
We hope you guys enjoyed that.
We're
today.
done?
Yeah, we're done. That's it. We bring on people on the show. We have
Are you that quick with everything, Paulie?
Depends how good of a time I'm having. We hope you guys enjoyed this edition of Paulie TV, and we'll see you next time.
Use.
You